The markets are staging a bit of a recovery from the lows of the day as we go into the final 2 hours of the trading session. You're watching Midcap Radar live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Hormuz Fatakia. With me as always is Vivek Iyer. Vivek, good afternoon. An impressive recovery that the Nifty has seen from the lows. Still in the red though, but comparatively lower. And FMCG stocks are the ones to thank.
Absolutely right. Yesterday, you did see quite a bit of profit booking come about in that particular space. So that's aided a bit of the recovery. But despite that, all of the 4 indices, even as we speak, trading in the negative territory. We have a lot lined up on the show. Some interesting insights coming from our research team as well. So let's start off with the top headlines. Stocks drift lower after weak overnight cues following Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments that stocks are fairly highly valued. Realty, IT and private banks are the big drags, even if FMCG and PSU banks eke out gains. Mid-caps lag.
Bajaj Electricals has zoomed on Morphy Richards' acquisition plans. It will acquire the brand rights and intellectual property for a 146 crore rupee outgo. The stock is up over 8%.
Sri Lotus Developers gains in trade as Motilal Oswal initiates coverage on this particular name. They have a buy rating on the stock and they believe that this particular company has established itself as a key player in the society redevelopment space.
Newly listed stock doing well, but IT stocks though continue to trade lower, and that is after the US Department of Homeland Security has proposed changes to the H-1B visa selection process. Mid-cap tech names like Coforge and Persistent continue to remain under pressure.
Aimco Elecon under pressure as a promoter group entity. Tamrock Great Britain Holdings is set to sell stake through an OFS and offer for sale. Almost 24% of the equity is expected to be sold via this particular route.
Well, there's been a recovery from the lows for the markets. The Nifty now nearing that 25,150 mark again. Of course, can't take away from the fact that we are still down for the 4th straight trading session. But you also can't take away from the fact that there's been a 100-point recovery from the lows of the day. 25,027 was the low that the index made. And since then, we are up 100 points now. At the highest point of the day is where the index currently is. So it's been a smart recovery that the index has had. And if you pull up the contributors chart, you would see that it is the FMCG names that have done well in contributing to this recovery, be it Hindustan Unilever, be it Britannia, and even for the likes of other FMCG names like Nestle. Of course, they are non-index names. Godrej Consumer, all of them have recovered anywhere between 2 to 3% from their respective intraday lows, and that is what has contributed to this recovery on the index as well. But you pull up the Nifty Bank, you'd get to know why the index was down to begin with in today's session. And since the Nifty Bank led the index higher, today it is leading the index lower. And even though there has been a relative recovery as well, around 150 to 170 points from the lows of the day, it still remains below key levels, below the 55,500 mark, and also below the 55,300 mark is the Nifty Bank. So this will be the index to watch out for going into the second half of the trading session, because a recovery here could propel a recovery on the Nifty as well. But shifting focus to the broader markets, then there are a lot of stock specific movers in today's trade as well, and Vivek is hopped across to the wall to tell us just that. Vivek.
Well, absolutely right. So many movers, especially as far as the broader end of the markets are concerned. But despite that, advanced decline ratio is still skewed in favor of declines, although it's recovered quite significantly in the last half hour or so. What are the stocks to keep an eye out for? First up, keep an eye out on Tata Investment, almost 8% higher, strong volumes. Minda Corp, ambitious 2030 plans unveiled, stock higher by 8%. Indian Bank, one of the top gainers on the NSE 500 index. Keynes Tech, clarity coming in as far as the management is concerned. And Himadri Chem, one name from the broader end of the markets, almost 7.5% higher. On the other hand, realty players, especially Mumbai-based realty players, are witnessing significant selling pressure. Have a look at most of these names: DLF, Oberoi, Godbridge, all of these names down anywhere between 1.8 to 3% in today's trading session. Some other laggards are a lot of names on the mid-cap IT stack, especially given the uncertainty that continues as far as H-1B is concerned. Look at eClerk Services, Sagility, and some exporters names like Bharat Forge down 3%, one of the top laggards in the FNO space. Praj Industries down by another 2% today.
Interesting, Vivek. Thank you for those movers in the broader markets. Yes, real estate has been a bit of a pain point over the last few days, especially considering the stress that the IT sector is currently facing. But on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive then. The IRDAI has flagged off some concerns around high insurance commissions. Yash is joining in with more details on this. Yash, tell us more.
Well, that's correct. So this was the first meeting which took place between insurance CEOs and the new IRDAI chairperson, that is Mr. Ajay Seth. What we've been given to understand is that the regulator in this meeting did voice its concern when it comes to the higher insurance commission as well as the distribution costs involved in the business of insurance. This was voiced as far as the meeting with insurance CEOs is concerned. IRDA had told insurance companies, the CEOs here in the meeting, that the distribution cost and the commission needs to come down for insurance to become economical for the policyholders. Of course, GST cut will do its bit to a great extent, but apart from that, the distribution cost also needs to come down. The commissions also need to come down to make insurance more viable, more economical for policyholders. The insurers that we've spoken to who were a part of this meeting, some of the large insurance companies, they suggest that a proposal to cap commissions or distribution costs can be explored, and this proposal could be on the lines of what the mutual fund industry did when it comes to the total expense ratio. Insurers, according to our sources, are also expected to submit a presentation with the regulator, that is IRDAI, explaining the rationale in terms of how the whole TER model for mutual fund industry worked, how it became beneficial in cutting down the distribution cost, and if it can be implemented for the insurance sector as well. Another suggestion which came from a couple of insurers is disclosing the commission that they pay on the policy document as well. You know, the demands of this has been raised in the past as well, but nothing moved. But again, the demand for disclosing commissions was raised. Apart from that, there were various other priority sectors or areas which were highlighted by the IRDAI chairperson. This included driving growth, enhancing insurance penetration, also focusing on effective processing of health claims. Apart from that, commitment towards social and rural sector as well as motor TP obligation was also highlighted by the IRDAI chairperson in the meeting with the CEOs.
Thank you so much, Yash, for joining us, bringing us the source-based exclusive information. Heightened clarity as well as maybe lower commissions is something that has been proposed. On the back of that, Policy Bazaar or PB Fintech, that particular stock, as you can see, has moved to the low point of the day, down almost 4%. But moving on, Jay Thakkar from ICICI Securities now joins in for a quick technical check of the market. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining us. Once again, we're seeing a lot of congestion as far as the Nifty's attempts to move higher is concerned. Jay, where do you see Nifty especially go from here on?
Good afternoon to you, Vivek, and as well. Vivek, see, it's like almost 4 days now that we have been seeing Nifty trading with a negative bias after having almost 8,000 points kind of a bounce back from 24,400 to 25,400. So as of now, it seems to be taking some pause. Mainly, what has happened, Vivek, is the private sector banks as well as the IT, Nifty IT, has weighed pressure on the index, because of which we have seen this 4 days kind of a correction. Otherwise, if you see market, probably auto is doing good. We had a good bounce back coming in the defense name earlier, and thereafter, Realty name, railways, wherein there were a lot of shorts, as well as the private PSU banks. I mean, they are well in the upward momentum, and not to forget the metals. So if you see 50% of the market, Vivek, is weighing pressure on the Nifty, whereas 50% of the market is trending higher. So in this kind of a scenario, it seems that market may just take a pause or may consolidate within the range of say 24,700 to 800 on the downside to 25,400. Now that's a broader range of almost 800 points, which is approximately 3%. So I see Nifty at least until the expiry, monthly expiry, to trade within this range of 25,400 to 24,700. Once the expiry is over and once we get to know the rollovers, probably we'll have a better idea. So far, this range is what we see as of now, Nifty consolidating within this.
Interesting, Jay. Thank you for sparing time and joining us today with your views on the index. Looking forward to have you more often. Take a short break, more on the markets and the specific stocks on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. We promised you earlier that we'll get you some interesting insights on stocks from the broad end of the markets. Emco Elecon, one particular stock, is down almost 15%. A large OFS is in the offing. Vamakshi has been looking at this particular name. Vamakshi, give us more details.
Absolutely, Vivek. So this is one counter that we don't talk about very often, but given the kind of fall that we've seen in the stock, worth noting, Tamrock Great Britain Holdings, who is a promoter of, one of the promoter entities of the company, will be selling stake through OFS. Now, keep in mind that on June 4th itself, Tamrock had sent a letter to IMCON, and they had said that they did have plans of, sort of a possibility of a stake sale. And if you look at, the shareholding for Tamrock, they hold 24.68% stake in the company as of June 2025. Now, let me share more details of the OFS with you. Now, they are likely to sell 7.23 lakh shares, which is around 12.55% stake, which is the base offer size for the company. Now, they also have an oversubscription option. So, an additional 7 lakh shares could also be offered if the green shoe option is exercised. So that's another 12.14% stake. So, and if this does go through, the promoter group will sell its entire 24.68% stake in the company. Now, the offer has opened for non-retail investors today and will open for retail investors tomorrow. The floor price of the offer is at 1,400 rupees per share, and if we compare it to the close yesterday, which was above the 2,000 mark, it's a discount of almost 31% coming in for the promoters. So, given this development, the stock is declining in trade today.
Oh, well, another 17% away is the floor price. The stock is already down 15%. Vamakshi, thank you for that very interesting update there. The OFS, another promoter exit in the offing in this market. So, Emco Elecon, 15% lower, promoter planning to sell its entire stake through that offer for sale. The index, well, still 50 points lower, so no major moves there. We take a short break here. On the other side, we get you more on the markets and specific stocks. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Just before we go to RIA, on that positive brokerage note on Sri Lotus, pull up PB Fintech, and that stock has now slumped to the day's lowest point, or more than 5% down on the stock, and this is just minutes after Yash did his exclusive on the IRDI. There you can see a very sharp slide on PB Fintech in the last few minutes, now 5% lower on that stock, 17.15, and IRDI, of course, expressing concerns on their high insurance commissions and distribution costs since meeting with the CEOs of the sector. That is the exclusive that Yash just brought to you a few minutes ago. So that is having an impact on PB Fintech. But what's having a good day today is the newly listed Sri Lotus developers, and that is on the back of a positive brokerage note that has come in from Motilal Oswal, and Ria is here to tell us just that. Ria.
Well, yes, Hormus, just before we go to the details of the brokerage note, let's take a look at what the company does. They are a developer of residential and commercial projects based out of Mumbai. The company is primarily focused on redevelopment projects in the ultra-luxury and luxury segment in the western suburbs of the city. As you said, the company was recently listed and they raised about rupees 792 crores through its IPO. Now, Motilal today has initiated coverage on the stock with a buy call and a target price of rupees 250, which is a 35% upside compared to yesterday's closing. Over the last 3 financial years, the company has clocked a pre-sales CAGR of around 39%. Currently, they have completed 4 projects, and there are also 5 ongoing residential projects with a combined potential value of around rupees 1,900 to 2,000 crores. The company is also currently executing projects worth around rupees 2.6 million square feet, 89% of which fall under the redevelopment model. Now, they also have 8 upcoming residential projects with a GDV potential of 7,000 to 7,500 crores. These are to be completed by the end of FY27, and they are also developing 3 commercial projects with an estimated sales potential of rupees 3,000 to 3,500 crores. The company is also net debt free, which adds to the optimism from Motilal Oswal. They have estimated that pre-sales are expected to post a CAGR of 129% over FY25 to 28, which is guided by the company's strong project pipeline, and they are also expected to generate a cumulative operating cash flow of around rupees 6,900 crores by FY32, with operating margins exceeding 40%. So on the back of this positive note coming in from Motilal, the stock is up around 5.5% in trade at the moment.
Thank you so much, Ria, for joining us, telling us all that's happening as far as 3 Lotus developers is concerned. This is a newly listed company or a recently listed company, and a positive brokerage note taking the stock higher by almost 5%. Well, a couple of stocks on the radar. Remember, yesterday the Nifty metal was the one that actually outperformed. Today, you're seeing a little bit of that continue. JSW Steel, this particular stock, near the day's highest point. Patanjali, that particular stock too has moved to the high point of the day, and a little bit of recovery being seen among some of the pharma names. Names like Cipla have recovered to the day's highest points. Some movement also seen in the insurance space. While we spoke about Policy Bazaar, some of the life insurance companies, especially HDFC Life, that stock has recovered and has now moved into the green territory after spending most of the day in the negative territory. But with that, it's all the time we have on this edition of Midcap Radar. Your stocks when we return.